Have you ever wondered where the creepiest roads in the world are? Hold on to your seat, because we've gathered the most dangerous roads and places that will leave you breathless. Buckle up to travel the Parson Valley Road in Pakistan, a spine-chilling adventure through the Zitral region. This treacherous dirt track is so narrow that when two vehicles meet, you have to reverse up to 1 kilometer just to find a passing point carved into the side of the mountain. This wild path features steep cliffs rising above on one side, while on the other side it offers a dizzying view of a river from 2 kilometers to 3 kilometers below. The road is barely 3 meters wide in some sections, making it narrower than a regular parking space. And this is the scariest part. There are no guardrails between you and the abyss, only loose gravel and the steel nerves of your driver. Have you ever wanted to walk on the edge of existence? We present to you the Mount Washan Trail in China. This ancient trail, carved into nearly vertical cliffs, includes the infamous plank walk, a wooden path only 0.3 meter wide suspended 2,160 meters above the ground. The path consists of narrow wooden planks bolted to the mountain wall, with nothing more than a chain to hold on to. And here's the mind-blowing part. Some sections require climbers to hook onto safety chains as they progress along vertical rock walls with footholds barely wider than a smartphone. Hold on to your seats to see the Canon del Portal in Peru, an engineering marvel that will make you sweat bullets. This distressing route passes through 35 narrow tunnels carved into the mountain rock. The path is so narrow that it barely measures 3.5 meters wide, with vertical rock walls rising hundreds of meters. On one side, a sheer drop, and on the other, the rushing Wollonga River. Originally a railway, this route is popular with both mountain adventurers and daring drivers. But with tunnels as black as coal, tight curves, and rock overhangs so low they could scrape your roof, this road is anything but a relaxing drive. The Saj Pass in India takes the mountain road to a new extreme level, rising to an impressive 4,414 meters. This brutal mountain route combines everything that makes drivers sweat: loose gravel, tight turns, and sections so steep that your vehicle will seem like it's climbing a wall. The road is barely wide enough for one vehicle, with curves so tight you can practically see your own taillights. Additionally, when it gets cloudy, visibility drops faster than your stomach on those cliff edge curves. And all that during the brief summer window when it's open. So in winter, it's the most unpredictable and thrilling mountain pass on Earth. The French tunnel of Col du Parpaillon may seem abandoned, but that's what makes it terrifying. This 520 meters military tunnel, carved into the solid rock of the mountain, is located at an impressive 2,637 meters above sea level. What's the scariest part? The tunnel has no lighting, and during the winter, huge ice formations grow from the ceiling like crystal daggers. The access road is so steep and narrow that even ex-SUVs have trouble getting there. And when there is fall, visibility drops to 0 before you want to turn around. So even if you like history, adventure, and possible hypothermia, this is not a suitable place for you. Welcome to the incredible Camp Bamboo Bridge in Cambodia, a path so wild it has to be rebuilt every year. This 1 kilometer wooden marvel stretches across the mighty Mekong River. Built entirely with bamboo poles and wooden planks, the bridge is strong enough to support pedestrians, bicycles, and even cars, despite being assembled without a single nail or screw. But when the rainy season returns, the 4 meters bridge vanishes, letting the mighty river carry away all traces. So crossing it is like walking on a gigantic children's treehouse that could disappear at any moment. Prepare for the seamless pass of Colorado, where your vehicle turns into a mountain goat. With a height of 3,997 meters, this rugged mountain trail is so steep that normal vehicles don't stand a chance. With very tight curves and loose rocks larger than basketballs, drivers have to navigate sections where one side hugs steep walls and the other offers direct views of deep mountain valleys. But that's not all, because during summer storms, the entire path can turn into a mudslide in a matter of minutes. Do you think reaching paradise is easy here? Not like the descent of Kelly King Beach in the USA. Pineda, a staircase that looks like it was built by a pirate in a hurry. This heart-stopping trail zigzags along a 200 meters vertical cliff with nothing but bamboo railings and makeshift steps between you and the abyss. The so-called stairs are so steep that climbers often have to use both hands and feet, making it seem more like a jungle gym than a beach camp. And here's the most distressing part. Some sections of this handmade trail are barely 0.5 meter wide, with the fierce waves of the Indian Ocean crashing hundreds of meters below. Just remember, going down is optional, coming back up is mandatory. Get ready to be left breathless, literally, at the Cardon Pass of the Ila. This monstrous mountain road ascends to an impressive 5,359 meters, higher than most commercial airplanes fly. This legendary Himalayan pass was once part of an ancient caravan route, but today it is a challenge even for the most experienced drivers. The air is so thin that your vehicle loses 50% of its power, and even breathing becomes an extreme sport. The road winds through snowy peaks with tight curves, so tight that vehicles often need 3 attempts to turn. And here's the trick. During the winter, the entire route becomes a sheet of ice with snow walls taller than a house. Do you think driving on the road is tough? Take a look at Canada's Yellow Fly Ice Highway, where truckers drive 40-ton trucks over frozen lakes. These temporary roads are literally carved into the ice, which is supposed to be at least 1 meter thick to support huge trucks. The most amazing thing is that the drivers have to maintain specific speeds that are too slow, and the ice starts to crack too quickly, creating waves under the ice. And the spring draws near, any stretch of highway can suddenly transform into a dead end overnight, sometimes with just a few hours' notice. If walking along the edge makes you feel dizzy, it's best to stay away from it. The narrow path of the Chongqing Hanging Canal is literally carved into the vertical wall of a cliff, with some sections barely 1 meter wide. On one side, you have a steep rock wall, and on the other, a heart-stopping 300 meters drop, taller than the Statue of Liberty. But the most incredible thing is that this ancient path was hand-carved by local farmers who needed to transport water. That's why the boardwalk is slippery, and often you must crawl over rocks blocking the path, sometimes without railings. The Kazakh Road or Sharon Nostik challenges drivers all year round, but winter turns it into a test of survival. This distressing route passes through canyons with walls up to 6 meters high. But here comes the most terrifying part. Fierce winds can create sudden whiteouts, reducing visibility to 0 in seconds, while temperatures plummet to minus 40 degrees Celsius. The road gets so icy that even big trucks can skid. But luckily, these drivers have avoided serious incidents. A misstep in these conditions means having to wait in the endless blizzard until the editor arrives. Hold on to your seats on the Himachal Pradesh Road in India, where every turn could be your last. This distressing route through the mighty Himalayas clings to the mountainsides, with slopes so steep you won't be able to see the bottom. The road is so narrow that vehicles often have to reverse hundreds of meters to find passing places, with one side hugging crumbling rock walls and the other offering direct views into misty valleys. Landslides and unpredictable weather make every turn an adrenaline rush. And when the fog appears, you drive blindly, hoping the road is still there. You think you've misjudged the roads? Welcome to the BR of Brazil, where the highway is more of a suggestion than a reality. This 885 kilometers adventure through the Amazon jungle turns into a mud nightmare during the rainy season, with sections that can swallow entire vehicles. But there's more, as some sections are so remote that if your vehicle breaks down, help would take days to arrive. Additionally, thanks to the deep mud, collapsing bridges, and the wildlife that watches your every move, it is on one of the most isolated and relentless roads in South America. Nicknamed the Death Railway, this 415 kilometers route was built under brutal conditions during World War II. This incredible route runs with wooden trestles embedded 100 meters above the ground, clinging to the almost vertical faces of the cliffs. Most of it crosses the Kauai River on a viaduct so narrow that passengers can touch the cliffs from their windows. During the rainy season, waterfalls cascade onto the tracks, and the trains have to cross the bridges while the jungle-covered peaks rise above their heads. And if that wasn't distressing enough, some of these century-old bridges still creak under the weight of passing trains. Imagine balancing on the spine of a dragon. This is what it feels like to cross Galgailing, an extremely thin rocky ridge in China's Hunan province. This natural wonder features a trail along a sharp ridge with drops of hundreds of meters on both sides. The path is barely 1 meter wide in some sections, and there are only smooth rock walls plunging down on both sides. What is even more impressive is that some brave souls cross this razor's edge ridge every single day, despite literally having nothing to hold onto except their courage and balance. Witness the ultimate endurance test of Madagascar. Our Na Quinta is a legendary road linking the island's richest regions. But don't expect a smooth journey. During the rainy season, this dirt track transforms into a muddy obstacle course where even the enormous eggs get stuck. For days, local drivers travel stretches where the road is nothing more than tire tracks through red clay that can swallow an entire truck. But even today, after the reforms, the journey is long, hard, and unpredictable, as one moment you're dodging potholes, and the next you're hoping your vehicle doesn't get stuck in the middle of nowhere. Have you ever wanted to walk along a crumbling path 100 meters above a gorge? El Camino del Rey is a terrifying walkway bolted to a vertical cliff. This heart-stopping path was originally built by hanging metal beams from a vertical cliff for the workers of a hydroelectric power plant, and became one of the most dangerous hikes in the world. The walkway is only 1 meter wide, and in some sections there are gaps from which you can see directly the rocky canyon below. Although it has been renovated, walking on this path is still like tiptoeing along the edge of the world. The Chinese hydroelectric power station of Guaopitan takes ships on a vertical roller coaster. This engineering marvel lifts enormous cargo ships 199 meters, which is more than a 65-story skyscraper. It's not just any canal. It is the tallest ship lift in the world that transports enormous vessels over mountainous terrain. The most incredible thing is that when the enormous gates open, the ships float in chambers that could swallow the Statue of Liberty whole. But every meter of excess rain could unleash a devastating torrent of water and steel. The ships literally go up the mountain in gigantic water elevators, and each chamber contains enough water to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Buckle up for the Kalinga Road in the Philippines, where nature tries to erase the road every night. This mountainous 90 kilometers route is so treacherous that it takes an entire day to recognize what would normally be a 2-hour journey. Local buses travel stretches barely wider than their wheels, with steep drops on one side and unstable mountain walls on the other. And if you're truly brave, you can take a motorcycle taxi without wearing a helmet. Sure, But what is most frightening is that during the rainy season, landslides are so frequent that road crews work tirelessly just to keep one lane open. Get ready for the Tuchavi Road in Georgia, the highest and most spine-chilling mountain pass in Europe. This 72 kilometers route ascends to 2,826 meters at the Habano Pass. The road is so treacherous that it's only open 4 to 5 months a year, and even then you're literally driving among the clouds. But what makes it so dog terrifying? There are sections of the road that are barely wider than a car, with drops of hundreds of meters on one side and streams of water cascading right in your path. Forget about guardrails. One misstep and you're headed straight to the bottom of the valley. How about crossing a 170-meter suspension bridge swaying over a glacial valley? The Trift Bridge in Switzerland spans a deep alpine gorge, suspended 100 meters above the valley floor. This web of steel cables sways like a giant hammer. And when the fog from the glacier below arrives, you can't even see the other end of the bridge. The bridge is so high that you could stack the Statue of Liberty underneath it and still have space left over. It's the ultimate challenge for thrill seekers and those who want to test their fear of heights. The Death Road in Bolivia is the stuff of legends. This route clings to cliffs with drops of more than 600 meters, that is, higher than 2 Eiffel Towers stacked one on top of the other. The road is so narrow that barely 2 vehicles can pass. And before an alternative route was built, 2 vehicles would plunge off this road every month. Now it's a point of attraction for mountain bikers who dare to race along its narrow, fog-covered paths prone to landslides, because there's nothing more fun than dodging rocks just inches from the abyss. Do you think climbing stairs is easy? No. In the Chinese village of Po, this crazy stairway to heaven ascends directly up the almost vertical face of Mount Taxia, with some sections at an incredible 75-degree angle. Each step is barely wide enough for one person, and there's nothing more than a thin chain to hold on to. The most amazing thing is that the local villagers climb these steps daily, carrying supplies up what seems like a natural staircase to the sky. Moreover, when the clouds close in, climbers may find themselves stepping on cream. Calling the Congo Cameron Highway a road is an optimistic statement. This 500 kilometers adventure through the African jungle can turn a 30-minute trip into a 5-hour battle against nature. During the rainy season, entire sections disappear under meters of thick mud that can swallow a whole truck. Additionally, local drivers navigate through mud pits so deep that the water reaches their windows, while the intense heat can reach a scorching 40 degrees Celsius. So even the most experienced truckers say a prayer before facing this mud monster. Have you ever wanted to board a train straight to the sky? The train to the clouds in Argentina ascends to a staggering 4,220 meters above sea level, winding through the Andes, making it one of the highest railways on Earth. The train crosses the Polverilla Viaduct, a huge 224-meter steel bridge that spans a deep ravine. And those spiral tracks are designed to help the train gain altitude by making complete 360-degree turns. Welcome to the Himalayan Highway, where even mountains don't say twice. This Himalayan monster ascends through 3 of the highest passes in the world, reaching an impressive 5,325 meters in fan loft. The air is so thin up here that vehicles use 60% of their power, and people need oxygen masks to stay there long enough. As if that weren't enough, landslides, rockfalls, and unpredictable traffic, which includes everything from army convoys to wandering yaks, make every kilometer an adventure. If walking along the edge of a cliff is your idea of fun, Then you are in for it. Welcome to the majestic and awe-inspiring Mount Jiaozhuang. With a breathtaking view, this terrain hugs a rocky wall with nothing separating you from a 1,948 meters drop. Each step creaks, the wind howls, and looking down is not recommended unless you like heart attacks. This is one of the most extreme walkways in China, where courage is required and hesitation is not an option. They call it the Trans-Amazonian Highway, but it might as well be called the Endless Mud Road. This 4,260 kilometers road was meant to be a great Amazonian route, but instead, it's an unpredictable mix of deep mud, collapsing bridges, and jungle reclaiming its territory. Rain turns it into an impassable swamp, and during the dry seasons, clouds of dust reduce visibility to zero. Even with the best off-road vehicles, driving here is more of a survival challenge than a road trip, as entire stretches turn into mud, holes deep enough to swallow a whole truck. A road, more like a dusty battlefield. The route in Afghanistan is a brutal mix of deep desert tracks. Truck drivers crawl at just 10 kilometers, traversing deep sand, while overloaded convoys kick up clouds of suffocating dust. Hold on to your hat as you descend Mount Elbrus in Russia, where even the clouds watch you. This amazing route begins on the Vermanets Plateau, located at a dizzying 2,600 meters above sea level. The road descends, skimming over terrain so steep that your vehicle seems about to take flight. When the weather is clear, you can see 5 different mountain peaks, including the very Elbrus itself. But when the clouds loom over the road, drivers must take sharp turns and literally drive through the sky. What is scarier than driving over a 366-meter suspension bridge and knowing that it was once the highest bridge in the world? The Guangxin Highway Bridge, with a main height of 388 meters, rises over deep gorges near the city, again so. Additionally, strong winds can cause it to sway, and when there's fog, it seems as if you're driving directly into the clouds. It's not for the faint-hearted. A train through a market. Yes, you heard that correctly. In the city of Sametsong. The vendors set up directly on the tracks, selling everything from fresh fruit to seafood. But when the train arrives, 8 times a day, the market stalls vanish in mere seconds. The awnings come down and everyone quickly gets too safe. The train barely fits, passing just inches away from the merchandise. Once it disappears, the market rises again as if absolutely nothing had happened. Driving on the red dirt roads of Côte d'Ivoire is like playing a high-speed survival game. These challenging tracks traverse terrain that rises from sea level to about 800 meters, with old vans facing craters. During the steep climbs, drivers cannot use the brakes. They have to accelerate uphill to avoid sliding backward. Before each trip, drivers pray for no rain, as these red dirt tracks turn into muddy roller coasters with holes larger than the vehicles trying to cross them. This bridge is not only worn out, it barely holds. The Tushiman Bridge, which connects the regions of Ancash, La Libertad, and Huánuco, is in such poor condition that locals fear it could collapse any day. The government has promised reinforcements, but until then, cars and trucks continue to cross it, risking a terrifying fall into the ravine below. So driving here is more like a gamble with gravity. Forget about steel and concrete. How about crossing a bridge made entirely of vines? The Puvara Vine Bridge in Golbo is woven with 2,400 natural vines that span the rushing Og River. With a length of 52 meters, this bridge was built in 1915 and originally spanned 120 meters using only plant materials. Cross it if you dare, but don't look down unless you want to see the waters running below through the gaps in the vines. This tower will test every nerve in your body. The Ambuluwawa Tower, 48 meters high, spirals up into the sky with a narrow staircase surrounding it and sits atop a 356 meters high mountain. There's only a waist-high railing on one side, and the higher you go, the narrower it gets. When you reach the top, you are balanced on a ledge with nothing but the wind in your face and the stunning mountains of Sri Lanka stretching in all directions. The Georgia Cross Pass makes other mountain roads look like wax. This historic route, rising to an impressive 2,379 meters, has challenged travelers since time immemorial. The road winds through the infamous Dayal Gorge, with walls so steep they seem to touch the sky. Landslides, avalanches, and unpredictable weather make this road a high-altitude nightmare. In the 19th century, troops took 36 days to cross this 212 kilometers road. But even today, it's an exciting journey where a wrong turn can make you fall into a deep gorge. Cusco's truck in Peru will make your heart skip a beat. This distressing route, nicknamed Devil's Throat, winds through a canyon where huge rocky overhangs hang so low that trucks can barely pass underneath. The road hugs steep cliffs as it makes its way along a rushing river located 50 meters below. Some sections are so narrow that drivers have to fold their mirrors while praying that the overhanging rocks don't decide to come down for a closer look. How about driving through an abandoned lead mine deep in the limestone mountain? The Dr. Plon Clavier Tunnel is a 3 kilometers labyrinth. Dark, damp passageways where underground rivers flow and walls glisten with moisture. Once a huge mining operation, today it's a surreal adventure for thrill seekers. The passageway is so labyrinthine that even experienced guides say it's different every time. And during the rainy season, underground streams turn sections of the tunnel into underground rivers. There's a reason they call this road the roof of the world. The Pamir Highway stretches over 1,300 kilometers, traversing some of the most remote and extreme mountainous terrains on Earth. At its highest point, the Atbaytal Pass, at 4,655 meters, oxygen is scarce, the roads are barely passed, and civilization seems a distant memory. Originally built for military use, this treacherous path now attracts adventurers seeking stunning views. One true test of endurance. No frills or safety nets. Just you, the mountains, and the endless sky. If you think reaching a ski resort is all smooth roads and cozy lodges, think again. This 14 kilometers jog over road turns into a medieval winter safari when the snow arrives. The road is so steep and twisted that even the specialized eggs from the Soviet era have difficulty climbing it. During winter storms, the entire route transforms into an ice and snow roller coaster where vehicles frequently slide sideways while climbing nearly vertical slopes. And when spring arrives, landslides regularly sweep away entire sections. This is not merely an excursion, it's an Arctic survival challenge. The Shara trek follows the frozen Samsko River for 105 kilometers with temperatures dropping to -35 degrees Celsius. The towering cliffs surrounding you rise 600 meters high, leaving you with only one option: to walk on the ice. But here's the twist. The ice is constantly changing, cracking, and even collapsing into icy water, turning each step into a gamble. Walking on a rope bridge is one thing, but doing it 30 meters above a dense tropical rainforest is another. The Kakin Canopy Walkway in Ghana is a series of 7 suspension bridges that extend 333 meters. The narrow bridges sway with each step as they rest on trees over 300 years old. And when the tropical storms arrive, these walkways dance with the wind like giant jungle swings. A barely visible road or dirt track clinging to the edge of the Himalayas. The Jersey Pass, which rises to 4,804 meters, winds through steep cliffs, deep valleys, and rock formations that seem to be taken directly from another planet. are paved, narrow, and without gas stations or emergency services. This road is a true test of survival. Don't even think about winter. The snow buries everything, completely obstructing the path. Is the Punt del Hammer, a narrow and ruinous crossing with a name that seems quite ironic when you realize that even a single misstep could send you plummeting into the canyon. Being the most treacherous road in South America, this 40-kilometer stretch of the Canon del Pato winds through steep rocky walls following an old railway line about 800 meters above sea level. This treacherous winding descent in China seems more like a dry ice slide than a gravel road that turns every curve into a battle for traction. Here you are, sliding down a sand-covered mountain road, almost vertical, with no guardrails or safety barriers, just a steep drop. Motorcyclists ride it like deer devils, navigating the blind curves with only luck and affinity. Hidden in the mountains of Japan, Route 471 is a scenic but dangerous road. This 181.6 kilometers road winds through the prefectures of Toyama and Gifu, traversing dense forests, steep cliffs, and remote valleys. But don't let the peaceful scenery fool you. This road is famous for landslides, harsh winter snowstorms, and stretches so narrow that only one car can fit. And if the fog appears, you might find yourself driving blind, navigating one of the most unpredictable mountain routes in all of Japan. What a wild trip! Which of these dangerous routes impressed you the most? Tell us in the comments. If you want more extreme places, use the subscription button and notification bell. See you on our next adventure.